Hi again, my name is Evie Kai. I am part of the Community Building and Outreach Center, or CBOC, within the Sentinel initiative. Before we begin, note that this webinar is being recorded. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please write them in the Q&A section below. We will have time to cover questions and answers at the end of the webinar. Note also that you can adjust the size of your screen to make the slides larger and the speaker view smaller. The FDA launched the FDA Sentinel Initiative in 2007 in response to the Food and Drug Administration Amendments Act to develop a post-market risk identification and analysis system. CBOC has developed a webinar series designed to increase awareness and understanding of Sentinel. The webinars are part of a broader goal to deepen stakeholder involvement in Sentinel and broaden awareness of and access to Sentinel tools and infrastructure, especially for stakeholders outside of Sentinel's core user base. The Sentinel website is a principal means to communicate with stakeholders and share information with the public, including information about ongoing and completed drug safety assessments, new Sentinel methods, tools, and infrastructure, along with upcoming and past events, including meetings, workshops, and trainings. The objective of today's webinar is to provide an understanding of Sentinel's publicly available analytics tools and the Sentinel Common Data Model, and how to access those resources from the Sentinel website. The recording and slides of this webinar will be made available on the Sentinel website after this webinar has completed. The webinar in total will be 1 hour in duration. We have 3 objectives to cover today. We will learn about the key components in the Sentinel Common Data Model, or SCDM. We will learn about the different types of Sentinel's routine querying tools, and we will learn how to access the routine querying tools and the SCDM resources on the Sentinel website. Again, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please write them in the Q&A section below. We will have time to cover questions and answers at the end of the webinar. In addition, throughout the webinar, we will have a Sentinel fact versus myth through Zoom pop-up poll questions. This slide presents an overview of Sentinel's structure, which is comprised of 3 centers that work together to advance regulatory science using the Sentinel system. The Sentinel Operations Center, SOC, works with the FDA to design pharmacoepidemiologic studies to assess the risks and benefits of marketed medical products and enhance Sentinel's core data and analytics infrastructure. The Innovation Center, IC, identifies, develops, and evaluates innovative methods to study drug safety and effectiveness using real-world data. The Community Building and Outreach Center, CBOC, is responsible for developing and engaging the Sentinel community, expanding the Sentinel system's user base, and strengthening Sentinel's capability to distribute knowledge based on real-world data. We have representatives from FDA, the Sentinel Operations Center, and CBOC. As I mentioned, my name is Evie, I represent CBOC, and I will be the host of today's webinar. The representatives you see here on today's panel are from FDA, Trish Bright and Sarah Dutcher, from SOC, Jane Kolonowski and Andrew Petrone, and from CBOC, Shreya Medipalli. You will see their videos during the Q&A session. Now let's jump into our first topic, the Sentinel Common Data Model, commonly referred to as the SCDM. The Sentinel Initiative, established by the FDA Amendments Act of 2007, directed FDA to develop methods to obtain access to disparate sources of electronic healthcare data and implement a post-market risk identification and analysis system to analyze safety information for medical products from multiple sources. To facilitate this system, Sentinel developed the Sentinel Common Data Model and a set of customizable tools in a patient privacy-preserving distributed data system. Each Sentinel data partner extracts a copy of their data from their internal systems and then transforms this data into the format specified by the SCDM. The data partners then undergo a thorough data quality assurance review. Having each data partner format their data in the SCDM makes it possible to run statistical programs on records from multiple sites and preserves each data partner's raw data. Those who are not Sentinel data partners can still format their own healthcare data into the SCDM format. Later in this webinar, we'll show how to find the programs to do the data transformation into the SCDM format. Once users have their data in the SCDM format, the suite of Sentinel tools can be used. As you can see, the SCDM incorporates healthcare data that are organized across multiple domains. Administrative data such as enrollment, demographic, drug dispensing, encounter, diagnosis, procedure, and prescribing data are included. Also included are clinical data, such as laboratory data, as well as vital signs data. Additionally, registry data for fact and cause of death is included. Additionally, inpatient data, such as inpatient pharmacy and procedure information is included. Sentinel has a mother-infant linkage table in the SCDM that has created links between pregnant mothers with their child. Recently added to the SCDM are tables that capture healthcare facility data, including facility ID and facility location, as well as a provider table, which includes provider ID and provider specialty code type. Most recently added to the SCDM version 8.1 are tables that capture patient-reported measures, such as common medical survey instruments like the PHQ-9. The SCDM is flexible enough to accommodate new data domains, expanding as needed when fit for purpose. As shown in this timeline, the SCDM was first published in 2010. Since then, modifications have been introduced on a roughly annual basis. These updates include the additions of a mother-infant linkage table and the laboratory results table. Most recently, Sentinel has added the patient-reported measures table. The SCDM is continually evolving to respond to changes in regulatory science and public health surveillance. Now we will launch into our first fact versus myth question. Fact versus myth. The Sentinel Common Data Model contains a table that links live-born infants to their mothers. Is this a fact or a myth? All right, we see the results coming in. This is a fact. Looks like most of you got it correct. The SCDM incorporates a mother-infant linkage table that links live-born infants to their mothers. Once healthcare claims data are formatted in the SCDM, a series of analytics programs or tools can be applied to perform descriptive and inferential data analyses. These tools are known as Sentinel's routine querying tools. The Sentinel system's routine querying tools fall into 4 categories. Signal identification analyses detect new and unsuspected potential safety concerns. The Sentinel system's analytics tools support dataset creation for signal identification analyses, which you can execute with TreeScan, an open-source tree-based scan statistics software used to evaluate unexpected potential associations between exposures and outcomes of interest in electronic healthcare data. Level 1 analyses are descriptive analyses. These types of analyses identify and extract cohorts of interest based on user-defined options, including exposures, outcomes, continuous enrollment requirements, incidence criteria, inclusion-exclusion criteria, relevant age groups, and demographics. They also perform unadjusted and minimally adjusted analyses, such as stratification by age group, sex, and year. Level 2 analyses are retrospective inferential analyses. These types of analyses identify cohorts of interest, perform statistical adjustment for confounding, generate effect estimates and confidence intervals, and include numerous propensity score design capabilities. Finally, Level 3 analyses are prospective, sequential, inferential analyses. These types of analyses identify cohorts of interest and perform complex adjustment for confounding repeatedly as part of prospective, sequential analysis. The Sentinel routine querying tool that is used depends on what you are investigating. These tools, which are operationalized in SAS programs, serve as templates that get populated based on the particular questions being posed. On the left, you can see the 3 larger topics that can be studied in Sentinel: medical products only, outcomes only, and medical products and outcomes. For routine querying tools for medical products only, if you are investigating utilization of individual drugs, the Type 5 routine querying tool can identify exposures of interest, create episodes of medical product exposure, and characterize patient use and dispensing patterns. If you are investigating switching patterns between multiple drugs, the Type 6 tool can identify product groups by user-identified lists of product codes, for example, National Drug Codes or NDCs, which grouped together represent distinct manufacturer-level products, evaluate patient-level switching behavior between manufacturer-level product groups, and characterize patterns of product utilization. If you are investigating medical product use overlap, the Type 2 tool can characterize the overlap between primary and secondary treatment episodes during the observation period. If you're investigating medical product use in pregnancy, the Type 4 tool can identify live births, compute pregnancy episodes based on those live birth events, assess the use of specific medical products both during pregnancy episodes and in a comparator group of women likely to not have delivered a live birth during the same timeframe. Now let's change gears to consider routine querying tools for outcomes only. If you are investigating background rates, the Type 1 tool identifies prevalent or incident events, such as exposure, outcome, or condition, and calculates the rate of that event in the Sentinel distributed database during a user-defined query period. Finally, we will cover routine querying tools when both medical product and health outcomes are of interest. The Type 2 tool can calculate unadjusted incidence rates. This tool can be used to identify single exposures, identify concomitant exposure episodes, meaning overlapping exposures to 2 medical products, and identify multiple events during episodes of single exposures. For example, the concomitant use module can be used to identify exposure to 2 medical products, create concomitant treatment episodes, and look for the occurrence of a health outcome of interest during exposed times. Note that concomitant exposure is overlapping exposure to 2 medical products. Several options are available to create concomitant treatment episodes, including adding exposure extension periods and restriction to episodes of a minimum duration. If you are implementing a signal identification analysis, you may use a self-controlled risk interval design, Type 3, or you may use a cohort design and compare a treatment group with a referent group using propensity score adjusted analysis. If your cohort is composed of pregnant women, or if your cohort is composed of the general population, then a Type 4 or Type 3, respectively, is used as the basis for the advanced analysis. If you are implementing a retrospective Level 2 analysis or inferential analysis to investigate a specific health outcome, you may use a self-controlled risk interval design, type 3, or you may use a cohort design and compare a treatment group with a referent group. The comparison can be adjusted via a variety of propensity score-based study designs or covariate stratification. If your cohort is composed of pregnant women, then your analysis is built off a cohort created in type 4 analysis. If your cohort is composed of the general population, then your analysis is built off a cohort created in a type 2 analysis. If you are implementing a prospective sequential Level 3 analysis, you may use a self-controlled risk interval design, type 3, or you may use a cohort design and compare a treatment group with a referent group. The comparison can be adjusted via propensity score or covariate stratification. If your cohort is composed of pregnant women, then your analysis is built off a cohort created in a type 4 analysis. If your cohort is composed of the general population, then your analysis is built off a cohort created in a type 2 analysis. If you are implementing an interrupted time series analysis, you may use output from a Level 2 analysis, type 2. Now let's launch into our second fact versus myth question. Fact versus myth. Sentinel creates reusable analytics tools or programs that can be parameterized to study a range of questions about medical product use or outcomes. Is this a fact or a myth? All right, we see the answers coming in. All right, it looks like everyone got this correct. This is a fact. Sentinel's routine querying tools answer questions about medical product use or outcomes according to 4 different levels of analyses: Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and signal identification. Over time, Sentinel releases enhancements to its routine querying system. These enhancements expand, improve, and refine analytics and methodological capabilities. Sentinel hosts annual training days, which highlight for the public these new capabilities. The April 2002 training day focused on Sentinel's new inverse probability of treatment weighting, IPTW, tool for distributed settings such as Sentinel. The prior year's training day focused on the mother-infant linkage inferential tool. All Sentinel training day recordings and materials can be found on the Sentinel website. We will now show a video to demonstrate how to use the Sentinel website to access Sentinel's routine querying tools and common data model. The objective of this video is to show Sentinel users how to leverage Sentinel's publicly available resources on the Sentinel website to access Sentinel's routine querying tools and common data model.
Let's get started.
First, navigate to the Sentinel website at sentinelinitiative.org. Click on Methods, Data, and Tools in the top navigation bar. The following page of the Sentinel website highlights some of the most important or most recently published methods projects, data, and tools available to the public. Note that the tools on this Methods, Data, and Tools webpage is updated regularly as new content is ready for posting. The first item on this page is the Sentinel developers website. Let's click into this page. This page displays Sentinel's public repositories in Bitbucket and contains SAS code for various Sentinel analytics tools. For context, Bitbucket is a Git-based version control system that helps programmers store and manage their code base, as well as track and control changes to their code over time. Sentinel uses Bitbucket to closely monitor and add version updates to its analytics programs. We will now discuss some of these programs in detail. Let's return to the Methods, Data, and Tools page. We'll briefly highlight some of the content on this page. Scrolling down, we note an entry to the Sentinel routine querying system. The Sentinel querying tools are operationalized as SAS programs. These programs are designed to run against the Sentinel Common Data Model. The Query Request Package, or QRP, is a tool that is made up of SAS macros that allows the user to select the cohorts of interest in order to examine patients' medical product utilization or outcomes. The Analytics Request package in Bitbucket in the Git repository contains the detailed user-defined specifications on how and which patients or records are to be selected from the database. Data files must be in the form of SAS datasets in order to use these analytics programs. Users can click on View Git repository under Routine Querying System to learn more about how to execute an analytics request package using the Query Request Package, QRP. The next tool is the Data Quality and Review Characterization programs. These programs perform data quality checks conducted in Sentinel. The programs run data quality checks by characterizing the data that data partners create using the Sentinel Common Data Model rules. Click on View Git repository to learn more about how to use these programs. Next, the Sentinel website contains SAS code for transforming the IBM MarketScan research databases into the Sentinel Common Data Model. Sentinel and IBM Watson Health partnered together to make SAS code available for transforming the IBM MarketScan commercial and Medicare supplemental databases into the Sentinel Common Data Model. Those with access to IBM MarketScan can contact Sentinel through our website form to receive the SAS code to do this transformation. Sentinel has the ability to work with Medicare fee-for-service claims in the Sentinel Common Data Model format. This package enables researchers to transform the Medicare data within the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Virtual Research Data Center, VRDC, into the Sentinel Common Data Model. The Sentinel CMS Data Mart contains 100% Medicare fee-for-service administrative claims data housed in the CMS VRDC. Users can click on View Git repository to learn more. Finally, users can access Medicare claim synthetic public use files in Sentinel Common Data Model format. The CMS 2008 to 2010 Data Entrepreneurs Synthetic Public Use Files provide researchers a large data set for analysis based on a 5% sample of the entire CMS fee-for-service population from 2008 to 2010. Researchers can run Sentinel's tools on this synthetic data to understand the tool's capabilities. Click on View and Git repository to learn more about how to use this tool. Now let's learn how to access the Sentinel Common Data Model on the Sentinel website. In order to view documentation related to the SCDM, click on the Sentinel Common Data Model tab to the left. Scrolling down, viewers can see the graphic that highlights the data tables in the SCDM. Scrolling further down, users can enter the keywords Sentinel Common Data Model in the search bar. Click on Sentinel Common Data Model to view the most recent model, which is currently the SCDM 8.1.0. There you will find a description of the program. Scroll down to Deliverables and click on Sentinel Common Data Model version 8.1.0 to learn more about it in the Bitbucket Git repository. Now we will go back to the Methods, Data, and Tools tab on the Sentinel homepage. From this page, users can click on Routine Querying Tools under the Methods, Data, and Tools tab in order to navigate to the Routine Querying Tools page. Scrolling down, users can use the search bar to search for the Routine Querying Tool program of their choice. For example, users can click on Sentinel Routine Querying System Reporting Tool to view a description of that tool. Scrolling down to deliverables, users can click on the relevant links to view the program in Sentinel's Git repository right here. Now let's navigate back to the Sentinel homepage at sentinelinitiative.org. For those interested in becoming familiar with the Sentinel Common Data Model and the analytic tools, but who do not have access to health data, you can download from the Sentinel website a publicly available dataset that is formatted in the Sentinel Common Data Model. Visit Software Packages and Toolkits under the Methods, Data, and Tools tab right here. Scroll down to the search bar and enter the keyword Medicare. Click on any of the 3 resulting search entries. Let's click on the 3rd resulting search entry. Once you have clicked into an entry, you can view the description and scroll down to deliverables to view the program in the Bitbucket Git repository. From here, you can download from the Sentinel website a publicly available dataset that is formatted in the Sentinel Common Data Model. Sentinel has transformed the CMS synthetic public use files into the SCDM format as part of an ongoing effort to make Sentinel resources available to external investigators with the goal of creating a community of investigators who can understand, utilize, and contribute to the Sentinel enterprise. Please visit the contact page on Engage with Sentinel if you have questions regarding particular Sentinel resources or materials.
In summary, we hope you now feel equipped to navigate the Sentinel website to expand your understanding of how to access the Sentinel Common Data Model and routine querying tools. Thank you for tuning into this video.
Now that we have covered the video, we will summarize today's webinar's 3 learning objectives. First, we learned the basics of the Sentinel Common Data Model, including the foundations of the SCDM, the specific data tables within the SCDM, and the timeline of enhancements that have occurred since the SCDM was first established. Then, we covered the analytics tools that are publicly available to users on the Sentinel website. Once users have their own data in the SCDM format, they can perform descriptive and inferential analyses using Sentinel's analytics tools. We covered Level 1 analyses, which are descriptive analyses, Level 2 analyses, which are retrospective inferential analyses, and Level 3 analyses, which are prospective, sequential, inferential analyses. And finally, we've covered signal identification analyses. These analyses can be applied to investigations that involve medical products only, outcomes only, or medical products and outcomes. Finally, we walked through how to access Sentinel's routine querying tools and the data tables of the Sentinel Common Data Model under the Methods, Data, and Tools page of the Sentinel website. We hope you have a better understanding of how to utilize Sentinel's publicly available tools and other resources. We will now launch a brief 3-question feedback poll before jumping into the Q&A session. We appreciate your feedback to help inform future outreach activities. While you are entering your feedback information, we will cover how to engage more in Sentinel. In order to continue expanding your awareness of Sentinel, we encourage you to get engaged by visiting the Sentinel website at sentinelinitiative.org. There you can subscribe to the Sentinel quarterly newsletter to stay informed on Sentinel program updates, analyses, and methods and event information. You can also view trainings on Sentinel data, tools, and other infrastructure and methods. You can also subscribe to the RSS feed to stay informed on updates made to the Sentinel website. We will now open the floor up for questions and answers. If you have questions, please write them in the Q&A box below. CBOC, SOC, and FDA will be answering your questions today for the remainder of the time. If we do not have time to get to your question, we will follow up post-webinar. All right, so if all the panelists from SOC, FDA, and CBOC could please turn on their videos, we will go over some of the questions from the audience. So our first question is, does Sentinel data include pediatric patients? I'll pass it to Trish from FDA to answer this question.
Thank you, Evie, and thank you for the question. I always say the answer is yes. Many of our activities conducted in FDA use the Sentinel system to better understand the pediatric patient population. So these studies might include estimate rates of specific health outcomes. They might look at the use of medical products among pediatric patients. And maybe what we could do is drop a link into the feature page we have on the Sentinel website into the chat. Do you think somebody would be able to do that?
Yes, I can do that, Trish.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our second question is, how can I receive updates to Sentinel's activities? We will be putting in a chat a link to subscribe to the Sentinel newsletter if you'd like to stay engaged. You can also view recent Sentinel activity on the website or under the News and Events tab. All right, our third question is, what are some examples of Sentinel's data partners? I'll pass it over to Trish or any of the other panelists if they'd like to answer.
Sure, I could start with that. Sentinel generates its evidence by partnering with various organizations, and these include academic medical centers, healthcare systems, health insurance companies. And examples of these include partners like Aetna, Optum, Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which has the Tennessee Medicaid data. But if anybody sort of wants to see the list, they could go on to that webpage that Evie was showing us before, the sentinelinitiatives.org. You can click on who is involved and then click on Sentinel data partners and it will list them out for you. And that way you could say.
Thank you so much, Trish. Our next question, which we did answer in the Q&A function, but we'll cover again, is, does the Sentinel data include FAIRS data? I'll pass it to Sarah to answer that question.
Sure. So Sentinel and FAIRS are actually separate complementary data sources, so they do not contain overlapping data. Sentinel contains secondary data, largely administrative claims data from health insurers, as well as electronic health record data. And then FAIRS contains mostly voluntary reports submitted from manufacturers that receive potential adverse event reports, as well as directly from patients and providers. And so those are submitted sort of directly to the FDA through the MedWatch program, which that then gets into FAIRS. So we do use actually these data sources in complementary fashions because they are sort of separate, distinct sources of information.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sarah. We also received another question, whether this slide set will be shared. Yes, thank you, Therese, for answering that question. The slides and recording will be uploaded to the website after this meeting. Our next question is from Lisa. Are there other data sets available on the Sentinel website other than the Medicare data mentioned? Would any of our panelists like to answer that question?
So I can start, and then I might ask Joy to add. So this is similar to, I think, the data partners question. We don't make the data directly available on Sentinel. We don't own the data. Our data partners own their own data and they hold on to it. But the Sentinel system does contain data from a number of different data partners. Medicare is one of our largest data partners, actually done through the Duke Clinical Research Institute. That's where we access our Medicare data. But there are a number of other data partners. I know Trish mentioned some as well, and there's a full list on the website. I'll leave it there and see if other panelists have anything to add there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, we do have on our website some data in the Medicare claims synthetic public use files that has been formatted into the common data model that is available for download, that we put together so folks can practice using the tools if needed.
Okay, thank you so much, Joy, for your contribution to that question. We'll move on to our next question now. What regulatory approvals are needed to access the data?
So I can start with that one as well. So again, access to the data the data are held by our data partners. Part of the way the Sentinel system is structured is that they maintain control of their data behind their firewalls. And so access to the data is done sort of for us for the FDA through the Sentinel Operations Center. If other entities are interested in accessing Sentinel data, I would encourage them to go through IMEDS, our IMEDS program, which is a Reagan-Udall Foundation program that enables other institutions, whether it be industry or academia or really any institution, to contract directly with the Sentinel Operations Center to leverage sort of the tools and the data partner network and conduct studies that way. And so you don't need FDA approval from that. That's sort of a separate pathway, and we actually have no say in that, because I know sometimes Sentinel studies done through IMEDS are used to support regulatory submissions. And so there's sort of a nice parallel track for non-FDA institutions to access the data through IMEDS. If anyone has anything to add from the panel, feel free.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for answering that question. We have another question here. Is there a Sentinel community where if I run into any issues, I could ask my questions? I did type a response into the question and answer tool function. You can contact Sentinel on the contact page, which I linked in the Q&A function. I will also put it in the chat. You can also email communications@sentinelsystem.org or cbuck@deloitte.com, and we will answer your email. I don't know if the other panelists have anything else to add. Okay, so it looks like we have answered all of our, we have a new question right here. This question is from Alex. Could Sentinel potentially be used to examine outcomes for HIV-exposed, uninfected children of women with HIV according to the antiretroviral regimen used during pregnancy? Also, would there be any ability to incorporate maternal HIV viral load data in Sentinel? Viral load would generally not be available in a claims database. Would any of our panelists like to answer that question?
I can start. So that's a very detailed question. And I am not the expert in this particular therapeutic area. I think at FDA, every safety question that comes to Sentinel, we evaluate whether or not Sentinel is fit for purpose to address that question. We look at a variety of factors in the data as well as our analytic tools to see if we think we can answer this. And so I think a lot more thought would have to go into this particular question and the different components, necessary to be able to address this appropriately. And so I don't think at this point I would feel comfortable saying, yes or no, if Sentinel could be able to do this. I think it would require a lot of sort of scientific judgment and diving deeper into the data capabilities as well as what would be needed for this particular question. So unfortunately, I don't think I can answer that directly with an easy answer, but this is sort of an example of what we do routinely at FDA with Sentinel and sort of assessing whether or not Sentinel is fit for purpose for answering particular questions. If others, again, have anything to add, please jump in.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for answering that question. And just to add, I believe that we have a variety of publications on HIV on the Sentinel website that you can access as well. There's a Boolean search feature on the Sentinel website that you can use to type in HIV and learn more about any publications or presentations or methods and data related to that. All right, looks like we have another question. Oh, it was just Alex saying thank you. Thanks, Alex. I guess we'll give one more minute to see if participants have any other questions, and if not, we'll wrap up. Okay, looks like we can wrap up. So thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. We hope you now have a better understanding on how to use Sentinel's publicly available analytics tools. Again, this recording will be placed on the Sentinel Training Center section of the Sentinel website and on Sentinel's YouTube channel. Feel free to contact us if you have any comments or questions, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.